Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Half and Half this morning. It's fall, and the perfect fall accessory I read is an orange cat. So I just happen to have one. I don't know if you have one as well. This is Buddy Cat. Maybe you know Buddy Cat. He's very snuggly, and whenever it gets cold, he looks for the warmest body in the room, which tends to be me, actually. So, yeah, we'll see if he'll let us do some Pilates here. What do you think, Buddy Cat? Obviously, he's ready to go. Let's start lying on your back. Knees bent and feet flat on the floor. And then take a moment and let your pelvis sink into the floor and your rib cage sink into the floor and your head sink into the floor. And then just let your breath be natural. So if it goes into your chest, if it goes into your belly, if it's kind of shallow, if it's really big, whatever, just notice your breath. Allowing for a full breath, but not forcing a breath. So observe that distinction for yourself. Take your full inhale, your full exhale, but don't try to push it. It doesn't have to be big. Your full inhale might be a little small. Your full exhale might be kind of slow, or it might be really quick out. Just notice how your breath moves your body from the inside out. Now I find this kind of calming because it feels like waves. And I'm kind of a water girl. I really like waves, and that image really works well for me. Imagining waves of breath, and that helps me feel grounded. It's not necessarily how everybody feels when they watch their breath. So just notice what it does for you. And then let's start to add in some knee folds. So with your hands by your side, next time you inhale, float one leg up high enough so your knee's over your hip, but not lifting your foot really high. Let your foot really relax so your knee really folds and your heel's kind of close to your butt. And then take that foot down. And then the other foot moves, or other leg moves, knee ends up over your hip. And then sometimes people hold the shin really high, the foot really high. Let that relax. Let the back of your knee relax. Your heel drops towards your butt, and then taking it down. So you're inhaling, folding the knee, and exhaling back down. Alternating each breath. Inhale and exhale. Just keep following your breath rhythm. It's probably a little different than my rhythm. That's fine. And as you lift and lower a leg each time, it's a little different than when you're just breathing and the feet are down, right? I have to stabilize things, get just a little bit of work in my abdominals to create that stability, which means my breath feels a little different. But I can still get a sense of a full inhale and an exhale. Maybe you feel your abdominals a little more on the exhale. That's pretty common. But still using the abdominals on the inhale too. We'll just add a little to that. So one leg comes up, hold it there on the inhale. This time, don't lower it. Bring the other leg up to meet it. Exhale. Then the first leg goes down, inhale. And exhale, the second leg goes down. Whatever leg you put down, bring it back up. Inhale. Second leg comes up on the exhale. First leg goes down. Second leg goes down. Whatever touches down comes right back up. Inhale and exhale. First leg down. Second leg down. And go with that pattern a few more times. And can you get the balance of your abdominals coming on to support you, but still a nice even inhale, exhale. And then both feet are on the mat next time you're there. Make sure they're hip distance apart. Take your hands behind your head, elbows a little lifted. Very similarly, moving with the breath as your head comes off the mat. So you exhale. Helpful to find the belly and then use that to bring your head up. Take another inhale with your head lifted, and as you exhale, feel even a little more through your belly. Let your head come up, maybe half an inch higher. Inhale, lower back down, and relax with the breath for a moment. Take an inhale. Exhale brings your head up, using your belly. Pause when you finish your exhale, breathe in, and as you exhale again, a little higher. Lowering the head down. Transition breath. Next exhale, head comes up again. Pause for an inhale. Exhale a little higher. Lowering down. Couple like that. See if you can just find your own breath rhythm again. Last time through. And relaxing everything down. Find a way up to sitting, however you like. And take your legs out in front of you. Bend your knees just a little bit. And hold the back of your legs. So round your spine. We're going to slowly work down into the 100 curl position. So here you are, you're sitting up, but imagine that round feeling you have to have in your upper back. Your head's a little forward but supported, not hanging. Lengthened out. Your upper back's really open. You make some space in between your shoulder blades. Take a moment and breathe into your shoulder blades. See if you can feel the inhale filling that up. And then as you exhale, can you relax the front of your neck and your chest? 2 breaths like that. And as you do that, you might find your belly naturally pulls in too on your exhale. Let's start walking down. So use your hands so that you can really control the position. You want to see if you can slowly descend to the point that your ribs are on the floor. Your shoulder blades are almost going to touch the floor, but they don't. And shoulder blades, just tips of the shoulder blades hovering over the mat here. Chest soft, belly in, hands come forward, legs come up, and we pump. Inhale. Breathing in, long exhale. So now we are directing the breath a little more, right? Before I was saying just totally natural breath. It doesn't work. You're not going to get 5 in and out probably if it's just completely natural. So you think, breathe through your back, breathe through your armpits. Exhale, draw your belly in, soften your chest. Inhale, exhale. Breathe in, open the back. Exhale, draw your belly in. 2 more. Last one. Bend your knees, lower everything down. And then come up to sitting. Okay, so we're going to take some version of the roll up. We're going to do choose your own. So we have roll up with both feet on the floor and the knees bent. Arms are forward, you roll back. I'm just going through it quickly. And you roll back up. So that is the roll up. We've done this one quite a bit too, where you have one leg, you hold the back of your leg, and you use the back of your leg to help you roll down and up. Pressing the leg forward, opening the back, and rolling back up that way, right? 3 times with one leg, 3 times with the other. Or we've got kind of an in-between of those two. Legs are together, both legs are down, and you walk your hands down and up your legs to do your roll up. Okay, so choose one of those. If you're not sure, I think start with the hands on the legs. I think that's a good sort of in-between idea. And we're going to do 6. So if you're doing one leg, do 3 on one side and 3 on the other. Or if you know I'm way slower than you are, maybe do 4 on one side and 4 on the other. Or if I'm faster than you are, do 2 and 2. You can figure it out. But we're just going to go through that. So find your back open. Draw your belly in, just like you did a moment ago, getting into the 100. Start to roll down. Inhaling. Exhaling to the mat. Inhale, open the back. Exhale, soften the chest, draw the belly in. Roll up and forward through your spine. And then just keep moving at your pace. Find your breath. Support from your belly as you inhale and exhale. So I'm halfway through. If you're on one leg, switch to the other leg. Inhale. All these exercises are helping you articulate your spine one vertebra at a time. So it doesn't really matter that much which one you're doing. Sometimes we get sort of hung up on, oh, this is the more advanced one, or this is the easier one, or whatever. You should be working most of the same muscles no matter what. You should get that sense of breath and spinal articulation in all of these exercises. So whichever one helps you feel it the best allows you to accomplish the task of moving your spine, engaging your belly, and feeling a full breath. Last one. And then rolling up to sitting. So when I was a kid, I have this vivid memory of my brother learning multiplication tables with flashcards in the morning at breakfast one day. And my mom was holding up the flashcards
and I was really good at memorizing things. I still am pretty good at memorizing things. But I remember seeing him do 8 times 8 is 64. I don't know. I was like, how old would I have been? 5 or something. I did not know multiplication. He's older than me. And I remember that moment and being like, okay, 8 times 8 is 64. The next time that one comes up, I'm going to answer 64. And I did. And I was super proud of myself. And I always knew that. But I had no idea that 8 times 8 was 64. I just knew that was the number I was supposed to say. I didn't know multiplication at all, right? So I think sometimes we do this with exercises. We go, oh, I want to do the advanced exercise. Look, I'm doing the advanced exercise. I can do it. I can do a roll up or whatever it is. I don't want to do that beginner version because that's not as good. But honestly, I didn't learn anything knowing that 8 times 8 was 64, right? You get it. You understand the metaphor that if you can find the thing that really works in your body, that's going to give you the strength you want to develop. It's going to give you the spinal articulation you want to develop. It's going to make the effect in your body you want. If you can do the other, but you're holding your breath and you're tightening your hips and all that stuff, you're not really getting what you need out of the exercise. Now, it doesn't mean you can't push yourself sometimes or challenge yourself sometimes. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect all the time. But really think about that as you're choosing which thing to do, which exercise to do, which one really is going to give you the most benefit. And we have something in our mind that the hardest thing is the most benefit, but it's not always, right? Sometimes the most benefit is the more backed off thing that really gets us deeply into what we want to do. So let's go on your back. Take your right knee into your chest, holding the back of your leg. And then just totally relax your leg down again. So heel towards your butt, back of the knee really relaxed. And then see if you can feel, again, your pelvis is really on the floor. Really grounded through there. So here we go. Here's one of the things. I'm going to start to stretch my leg up, and I want to notice the moment that my chest starts to grab, or my hip starts to grab, or my other leg starts to kind of pull up or tighten. I don't want to go into all that stuff. I just want to float my leg up, keeping the chest pretty relaxed, keeping the pelvis really grounded, trying to stay fairly relaxed in the front of the hip, and then bending back down. So see if you can use those things as your cue. Inhale, floating up. Exhale, back down. Now, when you do it this way, you are not going to feel much of a stretch in your hamstring. If you're looking at this thing thinking, I need to stretch my hamstring, it's unlikely that you're going to feel a big stretch in your hamstring when you do it this way. But the hamstring is starting to let go just a little bit. And then some of these deeper muscles are starting to let go around the hip rotators, deep hip flexors, and hopefully the deep belly can come on to hold it. So next time you go up and you find that spot, see if you can feel a sense of your lower abdominals coming on just a little to hold your leg. And if I'm in the right place, my belly can do it. If I go too far, it's like my hamstring is pulling my leg down and my abdominals can't really hold the leg up against the work of the hamstring. So then my hip flexor comes on. Now that's working a lot too, right? I get all this stuff happening. So find the place that's fairly manageable. It feels like the belly can hold you a little more. And then as best you can, getting that hip flexor to let go. Again, might not be perfect, but best you can, getting that to let go. Hands by your side, keeping that feeling as you go into single leg circles. So same thing here, biggest circle. It's not going to get you working your deep abdominals very well. It does other things, but it's not going to get that goal of working the deep abdominals. So find your kind of small to medium circle that allows you to keep your belly working, keep your pelvis steady, letting your hip release-ish in the front. Take the other direction. No movement in the pelvis. Just working the belly. Exhale, draws the ribs in. Resting your right leg down. Left leg comes in. Same thing. Hold the back of the leg. Let the lower leg totally release, right? Really relax through there. When that happens, usually that helps me release my quad a little more too. Take a moment, see if you can feel both halves of your pelvis on the mat pretty similarly. And then as your leg comes up, there will be a moment for all of us that your chest will tighten, your left butt will kind of tighten up, your right leg will tighten up, your quad will tighten up, all those things will start to happen. So go to the moment right before all those things start to happen. Just pay attention to it. And instead of all that other stuff, instead of straightening the leg more, just think a little bit of tone down in your belly, way down in the pelvis. And next time the leg is up, let's leave it there. Take a moment to just kind of figure it all out. Once you feel pretty good about it, take your hands away. Put your fingers on your right hip a little so you can really feel. You're not going to let your hip bone move at all. Your right butt is going to stay totally grounded as you do your circle. Hardest as the leg goes open to the left. It's hard to keep that hip down. Only as far as you can hold it in place. We're really trying to keep the belly working to hold the pelvis still. One more. Same thing in reverse. Just a little bit open to the left. Keep the right hip down, across and up. Ribs are drawing in. The belly is drawing in as you circle. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. And then bend your knee. Bring yourself up to sitting. And let's come over onto your hands and knees. So, hands about shoulder distance apart. Elbows a little bit soft. So first thing that tends to happen in this position, I think just naturally for all of us, is we just kind of sag. The ribs drop down, the lower back drops down, your butt kind of drops up. So let that happen for a moment. And then press slightly into the floor. See if you can feel your shoulder blades get a little wider and like your rib cage just floats up slightly towards the ceiling as you do it. And then the lower ribs down in the front, that shoestring drawing the ribs together. Draw that in. That's going to open up the mid back a little more. And then just a little tone in the lower abdominals to hold the pelvis. We're going to slide your right leg back. Toes stay on the floor. So your knee has come off. You have a straight right leg, but your toes are still down on the floor. And then same thing. See if you can feel both hands, soft elbows, wide blades, ribs, belly. That's your goal. That's your task. Keep all that as it is. Reach the right leg out and up off the floor a little bit without letting your pelvis move, without letting your lower back tighten up, without dropping your ribs, all that stuff. It should come up to a little bit below the pelvis, which is not our instinct. We think, oh, I'm lifting the leg, it's going to come up really high. But not for this exercise. You're going to keep it just a tiny bit lower than your pelvis. That's going to help you feel the stability a little more. And if all that's working well, you might also feel the hamstring coming on. I feel that happen. I think the abdominals are the first thing you want to find. Once that's clear, you might start noticing your hamstring. 2 more. And and then bring your knee all the way in. If you need a little break, come off your wrist for a moment. And then we'll set the whole thing up again. For the left side, wide palms, soft elbows, shoulder blades, ribs, belly. Left leg slides out, long straight leg. A lot of times we talk about softening the knee, bending the knee a little bit. In this position, you usually don't have to worry about it so much. You can really think of reaching your leg out. And then here we go, keeping your belly really strong. Left leg floats up, it stays a little below the pelvis, and you just have a really, really long straight leg. Toenails back down. Up and down. Breath is moving. Abdominals are still supporting. Inhale to float it up. Exhale back down. 2 more. And last one. Coming back down. Both knees come in. Same thing. Sit back off your wrist for a moment. Take a child's pose. And then however you like, you can come up to standing. I'm going to do a roll up onto my feet. So you can follow me if you want. Tucking your toes under, stretching your legs up towards the ceiling, or pelvis up towards the ceiling. And then just working through your spine again. This is always a nice feeling, articulating one vertebra at a time. Rolling up through your spine. And all the way up. Okay, ready to pass it off to the next one, the tall one. Buddy Cat was short-lived, wasn't he? He was interested, and then I stopped petting him, and he was not interested. He's the short one. Scott is the tall one.
Hello, everybody. And that work on hands and knees, really enjoyed watching that and how it released the fronts of the hips. So let's start on the floor and then continue that exploration. So on your hands and knees, just like you worked with previously, finding that space across your collarbones, across your chest, and that space across your back. Now let's take the next 3 breaths even a little bit deeper. So more air coming in with your in-breath, and correspondingly more air out with your out-breath. So breathing sufficiently deeply that you can feel your ribs expand with the inhale, and release with the exhale. Continuing that breathing as you turn your toes under. And then continuing that breathing as you lift your knees, lift your hips. And then just like you did in child's pose, it's really that same idea. Take the weight back to get it off your wrist. That same deep breathing. Now with the forthcoming out breath, as you exhale, step your feet forward, ending up in gorilla. Then inhale, folding. We'll take a few breaths here. Now, if you remember that roll up, remember how you articulated the spine? So it's the same idea here with a forthcoming out breath. Articulate your spine as you come up, all the way up, arms up, chin up. And then with the inhale, bring your arms down. So we're going to work a little bit on opening the fronts of the hips. Now these are really powerful muscles that if we come in too hard and too fast, they push back. And that can be problematic because they attach onto your lower back. So we want to be gentle with them, compassionate. We don't want to come in and force them to do anything they don't want to do. So to start, take your right foot just a little bit back. Check to make sure that both your feet point straight ahead. And once you can see that they do, come back up to standing and bring your hands on your hips. So this technique I like to call the psoas walk. We're going to start with the walk part of it. With the next inhale, lift your right heel to come forward. With the next exhale, bring that heel down to come back. And practice using your back foot to initiate the movement. So most of us, we initiate movement from our head and our shoulders. See if you can initiate these movements solely from the back foot and ankle. And let the movement ripple up your body. Couple more. Now, next time that back heel lifted, pausing there. And keeping your pelvic bowl where it is, and here's where we create that length in the front of the hip. So this is the psoas part of psoas walk. Reach your right heel back and down to create openness, length in the front of your hip. Then once you feel that heel on the floor, reach your arms forward. So inhale, deep inhale into your back. Exhale, float your arms up, let your gaze follow. Couple breaths here. And bring your hands down. And stepping your right foot back up. So culturally, we tend to be more is more. If a little is good, more is better. We tend to approach stretching in the same way. And paradoxically, that oftentimes reduces the benefit. So you may not have felt a really big stretch here, but sometimes doing a very gentle movement like we just did is a more effective way to create lasting benefit. Let's take a look at the left side. So step your left foot a little bit back. Now, because the psoas tends to be tight, most of us, when we step back, back foot faces up. So making sure both feet point straight ahead. Bring your hands to your hips. And then inhale, left heel comes up. Exhale, left heel comes down. Up and down like that. Right. So as I mentioned on the first side, many of us have a habit of initiating our body's movements from up here. That's why a lot of people have a stiff neck. So to help release neck stiffness, I'm going to take a couple more movements, practicing initiating movement from your back foot and ankle. Now, next time that back heel lifted, pausing there. Noticing where your pelvic bowl is in space, keeping it there. As you reach that left heel back and down to lightly, gently open the front of that hip. You may or may not feel a stretch going on here. At this point, we're simply inviting that psoas muscle to release its held tension. Now, continuing that process, bring your arms forward. And this position right here creates more space across the upper back. Inhale, fill that space. And exhale, arms up. Let your gaze track with. Few breaths here. And letting your hands come down. And now stepping your left foot back up. So I don't know about you, but I didn't feel a really big stretch here. But now that my feet are side by side, I feel like I'm standing taller. And that would be evidence that chronic tension here in the fronts of the hips has started to release. So let's make our way back to the floor. Begin with an inhale into your upper back. Exhale, arms to the side, up. Inhale, folding. Exhale, gorilla. Inhale, back to down dog. We'll take a few breaths here. So as I mentioned in the prior class, mindful cardio, that many of the benefits of head down dog pose occur passively. That simply letting your head hang, your head ending up below your heart, that gravity is going to help in your circulatory system, whether or not you quote unquote do it right. And with the next exhale, coming down to your knees, and then coming down to your belly. So very similar to what you did on hands and knees with Colette a little bit earlier, reach back through your toes. Reach back through your toes so that you can elongate your lower back. Then as best you can, keep that extending out through your toes. Maintain that length in your lower back. And now with the exhale, lift your left leg up about an inch. Inhale, bring it down. Exhale, lift that straight leg. Inhale, bring it down. And we're going to go up and down like that. So maybe you're noticing in the video here, I'm not lifting my leg very high. And that's intentional because if I lifted it higher, I would grab in my lower back. And so as we do a few more here, what we're doing is practicing using the hamstring muscles of the leg and the deep muscles of the butt to create this movement. Lower back more or less offline. And bring that left leg down. Pushing up to hands and knees. Turning your toes under. And then back to downward dog. We'll take a few breaths here. We've done something on one side, but not yet the other side. And now asking the open-ended question. Do the two sides feel the same? And if not, how is it that they feel different? Let's take one more of those slower, deeper breaths here. Then coming down to your knees. And then slowly lowering yourself down. This can be really good for helping develop core strength, upper body strength, all the way down to your belly. Then both feet reaching back behind you. And maybe you're already feeling how that helps draw your tailbone out of your skull, lengthening your lower back. So by stretching back through your feet to lengthen your lower back, keep that length as right leg. You exhale, lift it up an inch or so. Inhale, bring it down. Up and down like that. Now, this second side may be the same as the first side, but that's actually quite unusual. That almost everybody, the two sides are a little bit different. That's normal. That's actually okay. So maybe keeping your lower back lengthening on this side, you can lift your leg higher. Or maybe not quite as high. So a couple more here. Maintaining that moment by moment mindfulness of lifting your leg, keeping your lower back from contracting. The next time your leg is down, pausing there. Now again, to build upper body strength, press up to hands and knees. Turning your toes under and back to downward dog. We'll take a few breaths here. While we're doing so, look back at your feet. See how your heels are lifted. See how your feet are pointing straight ahead. So letting that feeling steep into your body memory. And then with the exhale, step your feet forward to gorilla. Inhale, folding. Exhale all the way up. Inhale, arms down. So before we stepped 1 foot back, and then we didn't step it back very far. Now we're going to step it back a lot farther. So again, let's start with that right foot, step it way back. Remember how your feet were in dog pose? Back foot set up in that dog pose way. Heel lifted, foot pointing straight ahead. So keeping that back foot steady and stable, standing tall. And now to help further release the front of your hip. With the exhale, bending your front knee. Inhale, straightening your front knee. We're going to go up and down like that, lengthening, coming up. Lengthening, coming up. So just touching the stretch. Because if you bang really hard into a stretch, quite often your nervous system reacts and the muscle ends up tighter than it was before. Gentle stretching, way more beneficial than super intense stretching. So next time, front knee in the bent position, pausing there. Just like we did before in the psoas walk, reach your arms forward. This creates space between your shoulder blades. Inhale, expand that space. Exhale, float your arms up. Inhale, launching forward. And stepping back to dog pose. Few breaths here. So we've done something on one side, not yet the other side. And asking that open-ended question, do the two sides feel the same? If not, how is it that they feel different? Full deep inhale to open your upper back. Exhale, gorilla. Inhale, folding. Exhale all the way up. Inhale, arms down. So high lunge the second side. So now it's your left foot steps way back. And placing that foot back there like it was in dog pose. So pointing straight ahead. Keep your heel lifted. Standing tall. Exhale, bending. Inhale, straightening. So interestingly, in my body, it's simply showing up here. I feel a little bit of a tug in the front of the hip. So I don't have to bend the front knee very deeply to go into that stretch. Now I find in my own mind it can be really tempting. Well, it was this way on the first side, it should be this way on the second side. But that's not very harmonious with how my body is, at least at this moment. So exhale, bending, inhale, straightening. May or may not be as deep as the other side was. Couple more. Work with your body as it is. The next time, front knee in the bent position, pausing there. Bring your hands forward. There's all that space created in your upper back. Inhale, open that space. Exhale, arms up, track your gaze with. Like a superhero flying. Inhale, launching forward. And stepping back to dog pose. 3 deep breaths here. And with the next exhale, coming down to your knees, down to your belly. It is like we did before. Stretch back through your feet to lengthen your lower back. Then first priority is to keep that length. Both legs. Exhale, lift both legs up. Inhale, both legs down. Exhale, both legs up. Inhale, both legs down. Up and down like that. Now, a whole lot of us have a habit of using lower back muscles to move the legs. So a few more repetitions here, practicing using your leg muscles and your deep butt muscles to move your legs. Now, next time both legs are lifted, let's pause there. Steady breathing. Then with the inhale, lowering your legs down. Exhale, pushing up the hands and knees. And then back to head down dog position. And we'll take a few breaths here. One more deep breath. And then coming down. And coming into sitting. So let's start off with your knees bent, your feet flat upon the floor. And then it could either be your hands catching your knees or your elbows catching your knees. And now inviting awareness to your 2 sitting bones, left one and right one. And now take both your sitting bones and press them down into the floor. And use that grounding to support lifting up. Same deeper breath. Now take a moment here and feeling that the weight in the two sitting bones is pretty much equal, isn't it? So see if you can keep that evenness in the weight as you take your right foot and bring it under. So I don't know about you, but I just felt my left sitting bone kind of hike up. So I'm going to extend that left sitting bone down to root it down. The best you can, keeping the weight equal in the two sitting bones. As you bring your right hand across, either catching the knee or the elbow catching the knee. Other hand comes behind and then turning to your left. Steady breathing here. And then turning back to the middle. And back to the starting point. Both knees bent, both feet on the floor. Take a moment to feel right sitting bone, left sitting bone, both rooting down. Their grounding is what lifts you up. Keeping that weight evenly distributed in your two sitting bones as you now take your left leg under. Keeping the weight evenly distributed as you now bring your left arm across, either hand or elbow catch. Other hand behind. So yes, there's a spinal twist here that can be so nice for your upper back in particular. There can be a lifting in your spine, sitting bones down, lift your head up. That can help improve your posture. But there's often an unappreciated opportunity to release hip tension by taking your left sitting bone, rooting it down. And perhaps more importantly, take your right sitting bone, reach that right sitting bone out of your rib cage to root it down. Couple more breaths here. And then turning back toward the front. Now taking both your feet forward. So you can probably see my knees are pretty bent. Why do I have my knees bent here? It's so I can release my hip flexors. Remember that discussion from earlier? So best you can, releasing the tension that tends to accumulate in these hip flexor muscles. As you take a deep inhale, keep releasing that tension as you exhale both arms up. As you fold forward. So maybe your hands reach your shins, maybe your ankles, maybe even your feet. So if you remember with the single leg circles, the invitation is to straighten your legs only as much as you can without tensing your hip flexors. So the same thing here, both legs exploring. Can you straighten your knees? 1%, 5%, 10%. And then once you start to feel those hip flexors start to lock up, back off just a little bit. Same breathing as before. And with the next exhale, rolling up. And then lying back. I'm going to take a few moments here, and really nothing that you need to do. This is about undoing. So whether you're reclining on the floor or a sofa or your bed, let your body be supported. Receive the support that right now is spontaneously present. I remember when I was first learning these practices, the quiet time at the end, I could scarcely stay still. I was all the time thinking about everything I needed to do. So if that's the case for you right here, right now, consider that we're going to stay for no more than a minute longer. And then all that needs to be done, you're just a minute or so away from charging ahead. We'll take a few more breaths here. As best you can, letting go of any of the effort or the cueing or the techniques. And if you've closed your eyes, now opening your eyes. And then as you feel ready, coming up to sitting. So really glad you could join Colette and I this morning. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to type them into the chat box. We do have an event coming up we're both really excited about. In about 15 minutes, I'll be doing a Q&A info session on my program, Mindful Cardio. And let's put that link up in the chat box. It's free. So if you're curious about what is this mindful cardio stuff, what's it about, I'll be talking more about it in about 15 minutes. In brief, it's a program that I've developed to help bring all the great benefits of cardio for your brain, body, and mind, all the great benefits of these kind of alignment core practices that we do right here, and all the great benefits of meditation, and bring them together harmoniously. And even better to do so as a community, especially as we go into these colder days, darker days, with all these unknowns and all these stressors going on in our world. And so it's to help us stay resilient, to help get through these times. So really glad we could be here, and we will see you hopefully really soon, maybe next week. Bye-bye.